Buenos días amigos y amigas, gracias por estar con nosotros en otro webinar más de PolarisControls. Hoy es martes 10 de mayo, 11 de mayo, ayer fue 10. Ha sido un año que ya ha ido pasando volando. Estamos en el mes 15 de esta famosa pandemia, así que siempre queremos tener contenido para ustedes para mantener la cosa interesante. Empezamos la semana pasada con los webinars nuevamente semanales. Tuvimos un descanso durante abril, ya que tuvimos el Summit, donde participaron más de 980 personas. Así que muchas gracias por eso. Estaremos haciendo estos webinars semanalmente los martes a la misma hora por el mismo Bati canal. Y también tenemos otras cosas que podemos mostrarles. En el chat de hoy puse un enlace, una liga para el playlist que tenemos. Son 12 vídeos solamente dedicados al tema de Hi-Fi audio. Están disponibles en nuestra página o en nuestro canal de YouTube. El canal de YouTube tiene más de 120 vídeos en español de diferentes temas. Miento, hay dos o tres que están en inglés, pero la mayoría son en español. Tenemos también nuestro podcast disponible en Spotify, disponible también en Apple Podcasts también. Tenemos nuevos episodios. Hemos estado bastante activos haciendo preparativos para otro tipo de summit que estaremos haciendo y anunciando en los próximos meses. No será de 3 días, pero será de temas muy interesantes, no obstante. Así que pendientes con eso. Hoy tenemos el lujo de tener con nosotros al Chief Technical Officer de Rotel, el señor Darren Orth. Darren es ingeniero electrónico, ha estado con Rotel ya más de 11 o 12 años. Tiene realmente el pulso en lo que viene de Rotel, lo que está en el pipeline de Rotel y en la industria también. Es un señor muy amable, vive aquí en Florida y es un gran recurso para nosotros, muy activo con temas emergentes de Rotel, etc. Con nosotros también está el ingeniero Juan Pablo García, que es nuestro gerente técnico. Siempre cuentan con nosotros para cualquier pregunta. Estaremos viendo de cerca las preguntas en el chat y en la sesión de preguntas. Así que por favor, sepan que estamos disponibles para ustedes. Juan Pablo, ¿algunas preguntas?
No, para nada. Gracias a Darren por estar con nosotros y Rotel. Creo que el día de hoy vamos a ver novedades muy interesantes con la marca. Así que estén atentos y por favor recuérdense suscribirse a nuestro canal de YouTube para que lleguen todas las notificaciones. Este webinar también lo vamos a estar poniendo ahí. Así que nada, aquí estamos a las órdenes y los dejamos con Darren Orth de Rotel.
Gracias, señores. Darren, it's all you.
All right, thank you very much. And Ariel, thank you for allowing some Rotel time, and it's a great privilege and opportunity to introduce some very exciting new models. We really appreciate the support from Polaris, from the entire team, and really servicing the Latin America, South America, Caribbean markets. We continue to see growth and success, and as a brand, I thank you for that and for the opportunity to work together. So we're very proud, we're very privileged, and we're happy to be here. So thanks for this. Today I want to take some time and introduce some very exciting new models. We have been working very hard at Rotel for a good long while and have developed and engineered some technologies that we are excited to introduce and bring to the markets. And today I'll talk about 5 new models that we are launching and have launched, as well as introduce and give just a little bit of a teaser of some of the additional new models that are on the queue for the rest of this year. So as I walk through this, first, the 2021 MKII Integrated Amplifier models. A little bit of history on this. Rotel started about 5 years ago, developing a new technology platform. That platform was intended and really targeted to be a higher level of performance products, but it wasn't products we were building technology. We were improving the performance. We were improving our own level of standards. That technology, that new design, the methods, the parts, the components, then became the MKII series products. So all the while those developments were happening, it wasn't specifically MKII, it was technology. That technology, the engineers knew, would be leveraged into Rotel products at a later time. So first the P5 preamplifier, S5 stereo amp, M8 monoblock MKII integrated amplifier. Following that was the X3 MKII integrated amplifier, the X5 integrated amplifier. And now I'm very proud to announce that same level of technology, those same efforts, those developments have been scaled and integrated into Rotel products. So the first product that we're proud to introduce is the A14 integrated amplifier. This is the flagship product in the 14 series with 80 watts per channel of Class AB Rotel solid amplification built on a Rotel toroidal transformer. So that same award-winning technology of the original A14 has now been updated, upgraded, and improved. A lot of sonic performance step up from the MKII technology, PC board layout, power supply design, engineering, components. Those technologies that we learned and that we built are now in the A14. So this product is also, because of the performance, we felt deserving of adding MQA and MQA Studio rendering and decoding and unfolding directly in the product. So while the face and the rear panel are the same, we're very happy with the look, the design, and the inputs and the outputs and the functions of the product. It was deserving of having an upgrade in performance. So the components, and I'll talk about some of those component changes, but it really brings a much wider, much broader resolution. It really brings a much improved sound stage. It adds a level of realism and detail above and beyond the A14. So as a product and as a non-entry level performance, but at a very specific and strategic entry level price point, the A14 really has that. So the exceptional performance, when we talk about the benefits and what really is the difference, it's about soundstage, it's about the performance of the product, it's about the components and rendering that audio in a more real and lifelike scenario. So as the A14 took some of those updates and upgrades and circuit designs, we also took that another step into the RA1572 Mark II integrated amplifier. This integrated brings it to the 15 series, 120 watts of classic Rotel output power up to 200 watts into 4 ohms. But now that the engineers had even more space, physically they had more space, they had more budget, they could bring more MKII technology into the 1572 to add an even higher level of performance and even further drive the acoustic improvements. Same kinds of MQA, same kinds of changes to be able to say, yes, we're proud to be able to render higher performance and higher precision audio, but also really saying that this model is a massive step in terms of improvement and sonic performance. And it's about the sound. And while we're very happy with the original product, we found that there were component changes that allowed us to go out and even find a new DAC. And the DACs have changed in these 3 models. That DAC was selected specifically because it was the best suited DAC for the parts that were around the DAC in the different circuit areas, in the power supply, and in the coupling capacitors. So the 1572 delivers the same kind of step up at an even higher level as an integrated amplifier that has all of the Rotel DNA, all of the technology, all of the goodness of the original model with so much more. So when we talk about the product and the design and the architecture, I can look at the PCB, I can look at the circuit, and I can see the components in there from original versus MK2, and it really makes me proud to see the way that they've been able to integrate so much of that technology into the integrated amplifiers 14 and 15 series. But it's about the ability of really bringing that music to life. Also, we've added to these models dedicated Roon tested functionality. So through the PC USB connection, connecting to any Roon device, whether it's a Roon nucleus or a computer or even anything that can run a Roon system, these three models all work seamlessly with Roon, and they're seen as a Roon device that can then allow really playback of almost a limitless amount of music, whether it's high quality music from Tidal, from Qobuz, or anything on a local hard drive that can be managed through Roon. So very exciting to see the changes, very exciting to hear the performance step up and to be part of this real step of Rotel in terms of performance and audio. The 1572 is the entry-level integrated amp, and then we step to the RA1592 integrated amplifier. And to be fair, this is where the engineers really had the most fun, because now they have the largest physical chassis of the three models. They've got the largest actual budget to be able to bring more MKII technology into this model and really start to drive the differences and make an even bigger level of improvement. And I'm not talking about just bigger, and I'm not talking about just louder, because those are important, of course. We like bigger, we like louder, and we like numbers, and we like specs. But it is about performance. It's about the actual experience and being able to feel that level of experience. So the RA1592, changing the components, changing the circuit board, re-engineering the power supply to deliver that level and to really bring it into a MKII style family of acoustic signature is what got the engineers really excited. Same MQA performance, same Roon tested for easy, flexible operation of Roon, and being able to really take these out as proud members of the Rotel family and leverage and build on the 3 years that we spent engineering MKII. So those designs, those architectures, and those platforms are all about why these three integrated amplifiers have had the success that we've seen already when we put them out for review, when we've done acoustic testing, bench testing, listening tests, because it's a performance story. So MK2 for Rotel is purely about performance. It's purely about bringing the level of audio and the experience up, and not just a step up, but like MKII did for Rotel, a major improvement to the sound and the acoustic. So we still build and design based on Rotel tradition. We still engineer everything in-house. We still manufacture all of these products in our own factory, but the musical performance and the expression is where we've been able to drive the three integrateds to a much higher level. So what is it about this that allowed these kinds of changes? So I'll step back a little bit. Now that I've introduced the models, what did we really do? Because this is the question. What did we change? And really, why did we make those changes? What is it about the previous models that would drive us to make that kind of investment? I can promise you the A14, RA1572, 1592 are three of the very successful models. On their own, they have done extremely well. They've received numerous awards. They've been reviewed with extreme performance feedback from the market. So why would we do it? And sometimes the answer is because we could, but that's the wrong answer. It wasn't just because we could, it's because we wanted to, and we knew that there was another level that we could try. So the improvements, the performance, changing the different components in this with new technologies and new components that we had never used before MKII is what was really the driving factor. When we started this project, we took the current models, we started to put in the different components. We updated the circuit designs, and we went back through the entire acoustic tuning process, and one by one, checking, testing, listening, measuring each of these models, each of the critical circuits, to ensure that we had the right components. And we knew from the MKII the components that would bring us the best sonic performance. But we didn't know how those components would scale into the Rotel models. This is where the engineers stepped back, took all of that 60 years of design experience, took all of Rotel's legacy and heritage to look at each section. So what they had really improved is there were several component areas, there were several sections of each of the circuits that they really focused on. And first, if you look at those red rectangular components at the top of that photo, those are WEMA capacitors. Those are capacitors we haven't used. They were new to us. They were new capacitors. They're still new technology being engineered and developed. But those capacitors were selected for MKII. What they do, they bring a much wider soundstage by bringing a frequency response that is much more level, much more genuine, and no artificial kind of flavoring in the sonic performance. So those coupling capacitors are extremely critical, and they're in the signal path. So it's actually the audio is going through those capacitors as it moves through the analog circuits. They're expensive and they're big. You see, they take up a lot of real estate on the PCB, but it brings a real genuineness to the vocals. It brings a real natural expression to a piano, to a guitar, to a saxophone. And it starts to really provide that real natural kind of sound without artificial, without lifting high frequencies or giving a little boost in the bass, a very natural sound. But also in this are several components in and around the power supply. So even feeding the DACs have individual separated analog power supply and a digital power supply. And those power supplies are feeding into the DAC, and the ground connection for the power supplies have coupling capacitors. And what those capacitors are doing is they're keeping the noise, any noise that may come from any other circuit area, away from the DAC, because they don't want that noise. They don't want that distortion. We don't want that to come in and make any negative effect to the music. And those coupling capacitors are so efficient, and they're so quiet, and they provide such a noise floor that is so extremely low that you get that real contrast between music and no music. Really, it has that kind of very black and white separation of audio and no audio, and that noise floor is extremely low. And those are coupling capacitors. They're small details, and they're everywhere in the product in all the critical circuit locations. So together, between the coupling capacitors with isolating the ground, the capacitors in the power supplies that are the filter capacitors, and several other component changes, including the DAC itself, and selecting a Texas Instruments DAC, because it's the DAC that we auditioned that was best suited for those components that we made the change. That's where we started to drive the difference. And that's where these products, when you're listening to the music, it's not pushing the audio to you. You don't feel that it's delivering the music. It actually is pulling you into an experience of being in the music and in that setting in a very genuine and a very natural, and what I describe as an enveloping sound stage. So bigger sound stage, bigger projection to the music, extreme control with all of the detail that is required, that can be pulled out of the music regardless of an analog source coming from a computer or from a high performance digital input. And even the Bluetooth connection, which I love for the convenience with aptX and AAC, to ensure that we have performance, high quality Bluetooth streaming from both iOS devices with AAC or Android devices with aptX, the highest quality Bluetooth. that can be provided. So that's really the story. That's the effort. That's the reward. And one by one, listening to these models and auditioning them, it was extremely clear to see that those efforts had paid off. I've got these models personally, and they were sent to me to audition. And the short story is, I listen to them and I have my music and I play my music and I hear the music and I know what I'm listening for because it's my music, it's my test music, as I'm sure you've done. And as I listen to the original version, and I only need to listen to a few seconds of the track, it doesn't take very much to hear because I understand what I'm listening for. And I'm trying to be very clinical with a notebook and write down what I'm hearing. And then putting in the new models and listening again to the new models with the CD with about 12 tracks. And at the end of listening to the new models, I realized that I hadn't written anything in my notebook. I just sat there listening to the music, and I listened to not 10 seconds or 20 seconds. I listened to the entire track of every track, the entire track of every track on the CD. And it was about 40 minutes later that I kind of woke from this really musical expression to realize that it was about entertainment. And there's a lot of work behind it, and a lot of measurements, and a lot of detail, and a lot of technical listening sessions. But that was the win. And it was model by model by model, every time. So if I get excited about this, it's because we are. We're so happy with what we've been able to do from an A14, an RA1572, and an RA1592, really lifting that level of performance, really bringing them as part of the acoustic presentation of MKII, and elevating the Rotel products to a new level and a new standard. So retail pricing on these have gone up, and Ariel, I'll leave it to you to come back, but there is an increase in the retail pricing. It's the products are very deserving and certainly very fair. So this is the integrated amplifiers. Those models launched last month. These models launched last month, and are starting to work their way into the markets now. So I would encourage you to look at these and as you bring these in. So we of course are not going to be satisfied only with the integrateds. We did the same kind of exercise to two of Rotel's flagship preamplifiers. Preamplifiers now we're able to actually separate even farther the functions and bring the preamplification and all of the low voltage functions to a separate component than the high power functions in an amplifier, which again further lowers the noise floor, isolates the noise, reduces any kind of distortion that could be found in any circuits. These preamps had the same kind of treatment. So the RC1572 Mark II and RC1590 Mark II, these models will be launching this month. They will be announced and launched on the 25th of May. So I would ask you to keep this confidential until the launch, but physical space, again, and physical opportunity to bring more of those circuit changes, improve even farther the preamplifiers, because there's more opportunity, more space, and even additional budget available for the preamps. I just had a reviewer comment today who had listened to the RC1590 Mark II, and he said you can use this quote in the launch. And he said he measured the performance, he had listened to the product, and his comment was specifically, I don't know how this is possible at $2,099 retail. So this is a reviewer that has an incredible amount of very sophisticated test equipment. He was measuring frequency response. He was measuring roll-off. He was measuring noise. He was measuring distortion. And he had included some of those measurements, and he said he was saying it was so quiet, and it was so good, and it was so responsive that he was just going on and on about the product and the performance and his level of satisfaction. So additional information will be coming, and we'll get these products launched and announced in a couple of weeks. But we're excited to round out those 5 models and proudly introducing them as Mark II, and similar kinds of price increases in the new models as well. In terms of performance and budget, we're quite happy and excited to get them out into the markets. So let me take just a quick break here. Any specific questions that on the new models that I could answer?
So Darren, I was looking on the chat, no questions so far. So everything, I think it's very well explained. We also talked a little bit about those on our past webinar, but you can continue.
Great, thank you. Okay, so to support this, and we know that the engineering side is critical, and we know that it's important, but we also know we need to support the marketing and the resources and the assets. So we have gone through a complete redesign of all of our marketing resources and assets. We have updated product photographies, the specifications. We're updating the product catalog to ensure that we have all of the information available for marketing and for consumer outreach. We've put together some social media resources as well, images, pictures, some YouTube videos on the Rotel site, and rolling things into Facebook and Instagram. So these are all additional investments to ensure that we have all of the supports needed. And if there are specific needs, if there are specific opportunities that we haven't covered, I would ask, get that back to Polaris so that we can help better support your markets and the efforts. It's an exciting time, and it's an exciting opportunity for us, and we want to make sure that those efforts on the engineering and the technical and the performance are very well represented to the market. Okay, let me give just a bit of a sneak peek into where we're going. This is 2021. And Rotel was launched in 1961. So this is our 60th year of Rotel. And it's not just about 60 years of business, because we're not the oldest hi-fi business by any means. And we're certainly not the oldest audio business. And we're by no means the oldest business, right? Comparatively, we're probably somewhere between a teenage kind of company. We're in our teens, compared to some of the businesses that have been around for a long while. But we're 60 years, and not just 60 years, we're 60 years of a family-owned business. We are 60 years of the same family-owned business. And that 60 years is based on a couple of key elements. It's a passion, it's that constant passion. But that passion drives 2 things. It drives innovation, and it drives commitment to quality. And Rotel for those 60 years has never moved off of those 2 points. Not in good times and not in bad times. Not when it was difficult and not when it was easy. Commitment and passion. The passion from the Rotel family, still today, managed and run by 3rd generation Rotel family, running the entire business with the backing of the family in Japan. That kind of passion is what drives the decisions. It's what drives the innovation. It drives the investments for things like Michi, for things like MKII, where it could be easy to do nothing, but the right thing to do is to innovate. It's design, it's improve. That family 60-year passion is something we feel very strongly about, and it's what's allowed this brand to continue as is and building year over year over year and model over model. So we are preparing to launch a couple of very special models this year. I don't have a lot of details available to share today other than they're very special models to launch later this year. They will be launched in celebration of the anniversary. They will be very much Rotel DNA. They will be slightly different to bridge that history and heritage with modern industrial design, and they will have a performance level that is above what Rotel has done today. So they're going to be great, and this is something that we will continue to build in the models, not just for the 60 years, but 61, 65, 70, and we'll continue to innovate and build this. So we're thrilled about this. We're really excited about the way the business is going. We also have additional models that I don't have enough information to share today, but it's been a very busy year with 5 Rotel models, the anniversary models that will be launched, and then as well as additional products that are going to be coming later this year. Nothing is stopping and nothing is slowing down, and it's only increasing the investments and the commitment, that passion and that drive from the owners through the manufacturing and through our distribution channel is what continues to make us successful. So we're thrilled for this. We're excited to continue, and the promise and the commitment is to continue and even increase those kinds of investments. Any questions about any of that? I did rush through a little. I'm happy to answer any questions if needed. Still okay? All right. So just as we talk about this, and just as a summary, we know Rotel as a business has been successful because of the efforts of a very supportive channel of distributors, of dealers, and a lot of very loyal Rotel customers. We know that our investment in MKII is what was driving that innovation and driving the ongoing commitment and passion. And I talk about this a lot, but it is really a key part of the business. Rotel and MKII together will continue to build that success. And our success will build more success. And our momentum building that will build even more momentum. And that energy continues to feed off of each other. So we're excited about 2021. We're getting almost to the midpoint of the year as we get the new models out, and a lot more to come in the second half of this year. So as you've got ideas, feedback, suggestions, of course, all of that's very welcome. But from Rotel, from the management and from the owners, I would share thanks to everyone for your support in the past and for our ongoing support working together in the future.
Hey, Darren, question for you. Do you anticipate Rotel developing more theater related products other than the processor that you have and the processing amp that you have?
That's a great question. This is a business that we watch very carefully. The business has sort of 2 sides, a very budget-friendly side that is has a lot of retail, and a very custom install side that is a bit more complex, but certainly more flexible and more features. I believe we will continue, and the plan is to continue to invest in those markets. The business changes, technology changes, and we want to be very active, but we're very careful to not jump too quickly to follow trends that don't lead anywhere, or technology that's not fully developed. But for sure, it's a category that we will continue to invest.
Yeah, it's very similar to what happened with 3D televisions, that it was a bridge to nowhere. Or the curved TVs, it was also a bridge to nowhere.
Yes.
So yeah, I think Rotel is wise in doing that. Señores, ¿alguna otra pregunta que quieran en este momento con el amigo Darren? Aprovechen que de verdad es un invitado de honor para nosotros. I'm saying that you're an honor invitee for us on this webinar. So thanks for your time today, Darren, and thanks for showing what you got coming.
Great. Thanks. It's a great opportunity. Thanks, Ariel.
Juan Pablo, anything you want to add?
No, solo para aquellos que tienen dudas en relación a, por ejemplo, qué es el MKII o cómo poder contactarse para funcionar con servidores Room, etcétera, por favor, contáctense con nosotros. Creo que son novedades muy importantes dentro de los servicios de streaming y de audio en alta resolución. que debemos de estar empapados. Y así que si tienen dudas en relación a eso, por favor, contáctense con nosotros. En el chat también les dejamos los links directos a cada uno de los 3 productos nuevos, el A14, el RA1572 y el RA1592. Así que si tienen alguna duda, como mencionó Darren dentro del webinar, hay algunos ligeros cambios de precios en comparaciones a la versión anterior, así que por favor contáctense con nosotros.